KDTN Radio 1, Blog Talk Radio, and it's Music and Review, and this is show number 7. And our guest is R.G. Ingersoll, Mr. Motown. And the stories continue. A song in search of its singer. Alicia Keys, who's the other, Leo Sayers? Yeah, Leo Sayers. The Thunderbirds. Geez whiz. I mean, Catherine Russell. Okay. It's just unbelievable that these established groups are releasing albums in this market area.
Kickback music from the 50s. I mean, the songs sound like they were cut out of the back of a car. I'm serious. And it blows me away. And this stuff is selling.
Yeah, and it's comfortable to listen to. Yeah, I mean, it's good music. I'm surprised. I mean, but like we keep saying, the release dates is what's knocking us off the chair.
Yeah, new songs in an old style. Incredible. Well, I tell you what, we've been talking to R.G. Ingersoll, if you just tuned in, and this is SDC Radio Network's Music and Review from KDTN Radio 1. And I tell you, we've got just a little bit more to go on this wonderful day of listening to one of the finest producers in the business. You know, earlier we talked about songwriters who are their own producers, and their songs are great, and they just miss the mark because they sound like one thing. They don't quite jump the hump. And you know, because like you said earlier, people who spend $20,000 on a song and it goes nowhere versus a guy who spent $150 on a song and he's number one on the charts. You know, it's basically all about production.
Exactly. You couldn't put it any better, Kenny. Some people today, I guess they don't, the fundamental song, which they call a demo, really has to be nothing but a piano and a vocal. Anything outside of that, you know, is rolling the dice. You know, you want to do a whole, you know, concert production of it, you know, with the New York Symphony or somebody. Well, you know, then you're really out of your bounds if you're just trying to sell songs. Now you're selling productions and a song.
Back to songwriters, like I said earlier in the show, you can write classical type music. You have a song like we talked about earlier, The Night Before, written as a rock concert that Queen would kill for if they heard it. I think it's one of your best songs you've ever recorded in your life. Tell me a little bit about it.
That was kind of a questionable move we made production-wise, because we took a real heavy flavored R&B tune and we kind of put it in it was a really big flavor song that just really took over MacArthur's Park. And it came out quite well, we felt, but at the time we were, you know, exclusive staff for Motown, and they had the A's and the nays power, and we never got to finish it. But it's still a nice piece of work from a classical point of view, as Kenny's pointed out.
Yes, indeed. It's one of his greatest songs that I think. And once you hear it, you'll hear it underneath. It'll be playing through the tracks. I tell you what, we're going to take a break and get out of here. We've been having fun and talking to R.G. Ingersoll, one of the many top producers that's remaining in the business and continuing creating hit records. You know, in our old days, we used to say something kind of crazy about the production. Even though on a record label the artist has got the big name, Everybody know that the star of the show is the producer. And without that guy, you go nowhere. And when you picked up a record, the first person they were was who produced it. Forget who sang it.
Yeah, isn't that strange? You know, that's the first thing they look at, the label and the producer before they look at the writers or look at the credits for the players.
So basically, the producer is the artist, not the artist.
Oh, I don't know. My philosophy on that is like everybody involved in the production is an instrument that I have to utilize, no matter in what capacity. I try to put them all together on the same lead sheet and make it work.
Yes, lead sheets. You still work off lead sheets now? How do you compare? How do you like working with this new media? I should say, because lead sheets primarily went to tape when we did analog. Now you're in the digital media. Was it hard transferring from analog to digital? Was it a hard fight? A hard transition?
Not for us. The only difficult part was finding the antiquated equipment that nobody uses anymore, that has been buried in dust, like your reel-to-reel machines and your analog 24-track recorders and stuff like that. As everybody knows, when the home studio thing came in, the big rooms with all the effects and the ambience and the soundproofing all died. So making the transition was a matter of taking it looks like an F-15 flying by here. Wow, he's close. But making the transition, Kenny, sorry about that. The process wasn't that difficult to make it. The materialistic end of it was just taking the old 2-inch tape, restoring it by baking it, and then throwing it on CD, and then going in and digitizing the best parts and then recording with it.
Today's kids are exploring analog recording. I mean, they've gone back to what we used to do, analog recording on the 1-inch 8-tracks and 2-inch 16s, or 2-inch or the 1-inch 16 or the old 24-track. And believe it or not, these machines are cheap. My God, you can pick up a 56-channel board, a 24-track machine, $4,000 or $5,000 reconditioned.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's amazing all the antiquated equipment that is out there. Just phenomenal,
And I tell you, these kids are making it work, and a lot of these kids are releasing their albums on vinyl again. They think CDs are like my grandfather's 78s. If it's not on a chip, then it's on an analog tape, and they love the analog.
Yeah, well, I have to agree with some of the early pioneers that did not like the clinical sound of their tracks being digitized. And today, you can see the results of their complaint about it is in the format of there are vinyl 45s being pressed right now strictly to promote that band or that singer, and they are back in the works, going through the mail. Vinyl 45s, Kenny.
Yeah, vinyl's back in, label printers, and the catch is that they charge. Back in our day, we paid $3, $4, $5 for an album. Today, what's the charge? What, $19.95? $26 for an album?
At Walmart? Yeah, everywhere. Oh boy. I don't know, the mom and pop prices and the independent little record stores in Walmart, it's hard. As you remember, we got that one report out of Sweden. There was a Kmart that was selling Go For It for $37 for the 45 at Kmart in Sweden.
So
It was a promo record. It was not for sale. It was part of the 5,000 that we sent out.
We love that. Yes, indeed. So anyway, hey, if you're just tuning in, we're listening to RG Ingersoll telling some great things about the day. The man from Motown Records, the hot producer with Hot Tracks Productions. What's in store for Hot Tracks? What do you got on the burner?
Well, at this point in time, we're happy to announce that we'll have another 2, possibly 3, 4 more singles that will be going out back to back. We're now very confident, since we are now, with Sony and they're handling our stuff, and they have promised support and liaison and all the things a good songwriting production company needs from a company that is established and is focused and believes in their writers and know without their writers they're nothing.
One question before we get out of here. Are you accepting unsolicited material at this time, or any material for review?
Well, we're more or less on the artist agenda at this point. We're kind of looking at a micro stable here of artists. We only have maybe 3 at this point, Kenny, as you know, and a couple more that are potential, which we'll all know coming here in the next month or so. So I hope that can answer that.
Would you care if anybody would send you any materials through the mail or through your email, or no, or you don't particularly care to have anybody contact you? You kind of contact them. How do you treat people who want to get you material?
With the utmost respect. And well, I don't want to waste nobody's time, and I don't want them to waste my time. I would like to have some kind of referral from somebody that might be, in my circle or around my circle, that I could, take a real good moment out to look at this new material based upon that referral.
Because I brought that point up to bring up this point. People who create these CDs and make all this music, then they got to send it out, and they try to send it to stations, real radio stations and whatnot, and the stuff gets turned back. Even to the what happens? Why aren't radio stations actually opening up the mail, taking in these new artists, at least to review? What's happening? How are they getting their new material if they're not opening up boxes?
Well, that's kind of like a 3-part question. The first part we'll go to real quick is, for some reason, a person can go out, and this goes back 20, 30 years. They can go out and they can press up a CD, and they say, I got an album. Well, to the family and friends and the strangers they may meet when they tell them this, the first conception is that you're signed with a label if you got an album. So a lot of people were just putting the album together and not saying they weren't signed. But the problem with that, and it could have been a good album, and they weren't signed, but they did not have distributing. They had no promotion. All they had was a good album in their hands, and it was going no further. So that leads us up to the other question of the CDs today, and where you can go with a CD if you have a place to go. CDs, albums, great songs, everything, when they're done and completed, is half the battle. Where are you taking this to? Who are you taking this to is the other battle. That's all I say.
Oh boy, what a mouthful. I love that. But hey, he's telling you right. So what we're saying is that radio station. This has been a production of SDC Radio Networks, a division of SDC Omni Media Group. This has been your host, Kenny Smith, and we thank you for listening.